Hey up, me ducks. How are we doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Is my microphone on? Let me just check. Yes, it is. So I'd listen on the iPad. Hopefully, I've had to close the blinds because it's glorious sunshine today, which is wonderful. And I don't like closing the blinds, but it was blinding me. But there's just at the bottom, it's shining through. So hopefully, that's the outline of this here is the outline of my laptop. But anyway, how is everybody doing? It's been a while, a couple of weeks. I wasn't here last week because I was in that London for the Tower exhibition, well, both Tower exhibitions. But anyway, before we get into the chit chat, let's do our usual hellos. So we've got Caroline's the first one in. Lovely to see you. Closely followed by the lovely Marilyn. How are you doing? Latte in hand and ready for CC&C. And then we've got the lovely Lily Rose. Hello. And who else do we have? We have Ramon. Nice to see you, Ramon. How's everything in the US? We have the lovely Fortune's Red. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing okay. Sarah is here. Hello, Sarah. Old man Ferdy Dad. I always say Ferdy Dad. It's right. It's Ferdiad. Ferdiad. The lovely Kim. Hello, Kim. How are you? Wearing the t-shirt you got me, look, for Christmas. One of the t-shirts you got me for Christmas. And we have Becky. Hello, Becky. And Linda. Hi, Linda. We have Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Golden. Hello, Golden. Trio of Witches, nice to see you. We have Midnight Unicorn, hello. Cat Evans, hello, Cat. Free Spirit, hello. We have Thace, hi, Thace. And we have Kathy from Nothing So Strange, lovely to see you. David, hello, David. Elspeth, joining, will be lurking. That's okay. Lovely to see you. Just finishing a fab Zoom with Anna Torian. How fab. Love Anna. If you're on a Zoom with her at the minute, tell her hello from me. You look like you've got some sun, Simon. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. I've been out in the garden. I don't have a garden. I've been out in the garden. Been in my friend's garden this morning, helping with a little bit of gardening, taking things to the tip, that sort of thing, clearing out. You know, it's spring, so it's that get rid of everything that's kind of gone to waste over winter. Went out for a nice pub lunch, which was lovely. And got back mid-afternoon. I've done a bit of shopping. A little bit of shopping. I'll show you a couple of bits. I've got nothing major. Well, one thing is probably quite major. Hello, Jennifer. And George, hello, how are you? Are you the same George who messages? Spelt the same way, but action time, Simon. I'm just wondering if you're the same George. Catherine, Crafty Mountain Gal Porter, hello. The Rockies, you're in the Rockies. I was in Utah, which wasn't far. Kristen, hello. Aquarius Tarot Adventures, hello. Juno and Jupiter, how are you? Nice to see you. And Forever Whereafter, why do people call it that, London? I don't think people do. It's more me. So when my mum was alive, she hated the thought of me ever going to London. And it was a story I shared a few years back when I was going to London. And I shared that my mum had said, "Oh, I hate it when you go to that London." So in my family, we refer to it as that London. Hello, Amanda. Jennifer, hello. Tower Ignited, nice to see you. Card of Light, nice to see you too. And the other Jennifer, hello. And Malamia, hello. Finally able to make a live. It's lovely to have you with us. And the lovely Navni is here as well from the Wandering Star. Hello, how are you? We have Maria and that London espresso. Rolf, hello, Rolf, and Robin. Nice to see you. And SCB, hello. L Phillips, hello. I think I've caught up with everyone now. So we all got a cuppa. I've got it's so warm today that I've got some juice. I've got some mango juice. I love mango. I buy fresh mango sliced. And it's really nice. It has to be juicy. There's nothing worse than unripened mango. But yeah, so I wonder if Sandra and Giselle are in the pub. I hope so. I would be. They're probably in the garden, actually, because I saw on Giselle's Instagram that Sandra and Keith had gone to the White Spring, and Giselle was enjoying the sunshine by sitting out in the garden with a book and relaxing. So I'd imagine they're sitting outside, or they've gone for an evening meal, which would also be lovely, wouldn't it? Midnight Unicorns has got a cherries and berries squash. I bet they're at the Georgian Pilgrim for at least one. Yeah, mind you, I used to like going in the afternoon. It's nice to go in the afternoon, just because it's on the high street and you can be in and out all the amazing spiritual shops. And then just to take the weight off your feet, just to nip into the Georgian Pilgrim for a glass of mead wine. Cranberry grape. Oh, that sounds nice. Hello, Older Moon. Nice to see you. I finally made it. Welcome. But yeah, see, the last few years I've been a couple of times in August, twice I think in August, so it was in the middle of summer. But the last few years I've been has been in the fall, so around Samhain. So it's not, although we did have a couple of days sitting out in the back garden overlooking the Abbey because it was nice and sunny. If there's mead, you can bet Sandra's there. Poor Sandra, she does get some stick about the mead. Anyway, talking to spiritual shops. So today, and I should take more advantage of it really, but because I live in the city, I don't like going out in my car during the day because then you've got the pain of trying to get back in and parking up in the middle of the day because all the shoppers use it as well. But because I was out, normally I go out really early on a Saturday morning, leave about 5:20, walk my friend's dogs with him and have a coffee and then come back and back home for about 8:30. But like I said, because I've helped in the garden and stuff, we went out for a pub lunch, I didn't get back till mid-afternoon. And so I passed through a little town called Sherwood, which is only 1.5 miles, 2 miles from the city. And there's a shop there. I have filmed in there. In fact, I did back in 2018, I did a tour of the shop. It's called the Mystic Moon. And also interviewed the owner of the shop as part of that. So those of you who've been around for years might recall that video. I think I did it live, actually. I think I did a live stream from the shop. But they're only open, I think, 5 hours a day, 12 till 5 days a week. So don't always get to go. But because I was driving through that town of Sherwood, I thought, I'm going to swing by the Mystic Moon. Always a dangerous thing because me and spiritual shops don't go well. So I picked up a few things, which mainly incense, but I'll show you the incense I've got. I just saw a comment that sweet and salty nuts. It's 8 p.m. here. I'll be having a glass or two of cold Pinot Grigio with a drop of sparkling mineral water for an extra fizz to go with my pepperoni pizza, which is just in the oven. Oh, Lily Rose, that sounds lovely. I could do with a glass of wine, but I'm not. having coffee and cinnamon bun that we picked up at the farmer's market this morning. Wow. Yorkshire Multi Biscuit Tea. We've all got some lovely drinks. Coffee was up till 3. So, I got a freebie as well. She popped in because I'd spent a certain amount, and I'd not even looked at it yet. This is Mother Earth, and because of the big item I bought, she's like, I think this will go really nice. So she gave me these incense. Mother Earth. I don't know what the smell is. Premium masala sticks. I mean, it smells lovely. I don't know if anybody else has had this brand before. I brought some incense, lifts up giant bag. There is other things in there. And then I thought I'd try a couple of new items, but also they had one box left of this. Now, this is my favourite. This is the Banjara Mayan Kapal. And it's really thick, crumbly sticks, but it smells divine. And I usually pick some up in Glastonbury, or I know that Mystic Moon do them. So when I decided to go in, I thought, oh, I'll pick up some Mayan Kapal. And in the Banjara range, which is my favourite, I love the Banjara. Well, I say it's my favourite. My ultimate favourite is the Nitri Raj original. But this is quite expensive. That's £15, as you can see. But you get more sticks in that. But that is heavenly. But the other Banjaras that you can get, there's like this one, which is the Nag Champa. That's an old one. But the Mayan Kapal, and of course they've got stacks of all the others, and one box left of this. So I grabbed it. Yeah, such a refuge from the chaos. That's good. That's good to hear. I love Kapal incense. Yeah, Malamute. It's just lovely, isn't it? So I got that. And then I saw these in the Banjara range, and they're called smudge beads. And I thought, I'm intrigued, as I say, Banjara. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen them, because I do buy their cones as well. In fact, I bought some. But they're these round balls, and you get a little ceramic stand, and you only get 5. So there's another 4 in there. That one making 5. And so I said to them, how do these work? And they said, just like them. So shall we give it a go? And this flavour, I'm not going to eat it, honestly. This scent is patchouli. Do you ever get your senses mixed up? I often say things like flavour instead of scent, or the other way around. I'm not quite sure how you like it, but let's give it a go. What's your flavour? Tell me what's your flavour. Oh, don't tell me I've not got. Of course I have. Why would no way, I'm not going to have a lighter on this desk, is it? I always say flavour. I bought some Banjara incense cones, and they're huge. They are huge. So I'm assuming that you just like the sides of this. I really don't know. It's running out. Why? Bear with. One second. Why is it whenever you want something, when you're live, really don't know how this is going to light. I thought it might be like, you know, like the charcoal discs, how you light one side of it. But I just can't see that working. And there's no instructions on the box. That's not going to take. The way you light candles and incense daily, do you really need to have more than one of those fire wands on hand? Fire wands. Don't get this. Does anybody have smudge balls or smudge beads? And am I doing it wrong completely? Make hold. Maybe hold it in the candle flame. That's what I'm doing, but it's just kind of scorching the side of it. Okay, let's see if that's catching it. Well, I don't really get it. I'm not going to spend too long on this because what I could do afterwards is YouTube it, how to use, but I just thought it would be like the charcoal disc, you know, when you light the side of a charcoal disc and then you get that little crackling and little sparks and then you kind of leave it. But this isn't. This is just kind of scorching the side and then, well, maybe there's a little bit of fire there. You have to keep giving it a bit of, it's a bit of a faff though, isn't it? Can you Google it? Do you have a bowl? I'm getting a bit of a glow. I just don't know if it's enough to keep. It seems to be going out. Simon blowing on his balls now. That's trying to hide that. I'll show it. Oh, I think you've Googled it. To use a smudge ball incense, light the incense with a match or lighter, place in a heat-proof vessel, wait for it to glow, and then blow out the flame. Smudge the area with smoke, open windows. That, I think it's actually, I don't know if it's going out or not. Because there was no flame to blow out, was there? Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave it there and see if it burns or if it just goes out. So jury's out on that one, but they're smudge beads. Shocked, I say shocked. What are we shocked with? Those balls take too much work. Yeah, George, I agree. Yeah, so I'm not sure about them. I got my usual Banjara. These are the ones that I think. Who was it just saying that they're huge? They're quite big, but they burn for quite a while, and they're nice. And that one is the frankincense. There was one of them left as well because they're really popular. So I got that. Then I got these. So these are also Banjara. They're coming out of a lot of range now. And I like the look of these. This one is Palo Santo incense, and they were really thick. Feels like it needs to have a little stand to suspend it above a tea light so the flame until it takes. Yeah. Look how thick these are. They're like corn dogs or something. Oh, and that just smells heavenly. It'd be interesting to see how long they burn for. I'd imagine they burn for quite a while. You only get 6 in a pack. But the smell, they did have a white sage one, and they had I think it was lavender. But I went with the Palo Santo. They look like sparklers. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the Banjara stuff. I don't want to pick the stone up in case the stone's hot now. But I don't know if you can see, but there is smoke coming up. So I think it's going. And then I got a couple of these, because these look really... Take that out, because that's going to topple over. These are the Mother's India fragrance, and they're oud. I love oud. I bought some oud in London. Do you remember me showing you? Was it? No, I didn't. I talked about it with Sandra in London, and then she sent me a link to these. These are quite nice. I ordered these. But these are cones. So I brought a little cone holder with as a pentacle. But these look really nice and smell really nice. These aren't Banjara. These are just the Mother's India fragrances incense is made by hand from pure and natural ingredients, fair trade, vegan, plastic free. And it's got the fair trade symbol on the back. Love the pentacle cone holder. Yeah, I thought it was quite cool, because I often struggled with yeah, that's really taken now. I can't pick it up because I think it will be too hot, because it's actually giving off quite a bit of heat. Can I put it on a piece of card, or will it burn? Let's have a look. Ooh. Look at that. It's really going now. So just a bit of patience. The heat that's giving off on my thumb, I can feel it from here. It's like, wow. So it works. Interesting to see how long that ball burns for, wouldn't it? Yeah. So Mother India's fragrances, oud. It's wrapped in paper. Oh, and I smelled it in the shop, and it smells. Look how nice that is. Wrapped in paper. Smells divine. Does it smell nice? I wish as well that you could smell what I smell. Okay. I like one of these as well. I'll have 2 different. We'll have oud and what was the beads? Patchouli. Oud and patchouli. That should go nice together. Well, this is a bit of a faff to get into. Anyway, let's light that. See, these light a lot easier. And then pop that on the pentacle lock. that's lovely. Beautiful. So I got 2 boxes of them because they smell so nice. I thought I'll get a couple. So I'll just put them back. So that's the incense that I bought and the incense holder. And then I bought, because here's the story. So, as you know, I used to be Buddhist, Soka Gakkai, a chanting Buddhist, Namyo Renge Kyo. And while Simon works on his incense, I'm admiring the decks behind him. That's the subject of today's live, actually, when I get through this. I want a goddess in the bedroom. And I've been after the right sort of goddess because my Buddha, if you've watched old videos, is a gold Buddha. And it's kind of, it's just, and there's nothing wrong. It's not like I don't want Buddhas anymore, because I do, and I'll always keep it. But I wanted a goddess for the bedroom and to put some crystals and a nice soft glowing candle, just to, set the scene in the boudoir. And so I saw this. Now, I've got a smaller one of these that I got from the pagan market last year. This was a nice size, actually, to replace the Buddha that's in there. Isn't she lovely? And I thought I'll get a little crystal sphere to perhaps go in there. She's quite a weight, but she's handmade. And she's Gaia, really beautiful. So I got that for the bedroom. And then for the candle, because it's the bedroom, I'm always a bit nervous if I was to light a candle and fall asleep or something like that. So I got one that's in a jar. But this, again, is a handmade candle. And they'd got one lit and it glows beautifully because of I'm not sure if it's beeswax, but it's got this lovely kind of honey colour, and it's in a glass jar. So, do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Well, it would matter if it got knocked over, but I just feel it's a little bit safer for a bedroom inside a glass jar. And it has a smell. It's not a scented candle. It's got a lovely, lovely smell. And the glass isn't a perfect glass as well. It's kind of, it almost feels like this has been, glass blown. Is that actual beeswax? I don't know. I should have asked, shouldn't I, in the shop, but they got one glowing. I said, oh, they're nice. And they said, oh, they've got some in the back room. So that's what I got there. So that will go next to my goddess. And then I'll have a crystal or 2 around her as well. So that, like I say, that's for the bedroom. It looks like beeswax. Yeah. I'd love to get into incense. I have some. I just never know where to stick them. I don't have one of those holders. Most shops where they sell incense will have some form of holder, tarot ignited. The one I've used for years, the only problem with this is it doesn't catch all the ash. This was a piece of foraged wood from Sherwood Forest, which is fashioned. It's got some ash on, so I'm not going to tip it. Fashioned into an incense holder. And I really like it. And it has got a groove on the top. In fact, let me pop it into the ash, into the brown bag, and I can show you properly. So as you can see here, it's got the hole and it has got a groove into it, but it doesn't seem to catch the ash. It falls either side. But that was quite nice. I've had it years, probably 10, 15 years. And it's been on my sacred space, but it's on my desk at the moment. When you ask, they just answer, mind your own beeswax. What's that? Simon, did you just nip out for a loaf of bread and just come back with this stuff? I was just on my way back from the pub. I'm in pub lunch with friends. I thought, oh, I might swing, being as I'm going through Sherwood after 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, why don't I just swing by and call into the my mind's gone blank. It's because of this pebble. It's weird what it's doing. It's becoming a ball of ash. I've just touched it and it's just pure ash. But anyway, that's the purchases. Incense holder, candle, and a goddess for the bedroom. And I'm getting obsessed about it. But it smells lovely here. Really nice. Okay, right. I need to pop open the chat on here because I've got some notes. So I need to try and catch chat on there because I need my iPad for the prompts. Because when I got back this afternoon, I was thinking about a topic that I wanted to discuss and get people's thoughts on. And I just wanted to get a few ideas down. So I typed away furiously on my iPad. And then I thought, I'm not going to be able to, although the notes on my iPad should link with my iPhone. So maybe I can still keep an eye on the comments. Let me just see if it's transferred across. It has. So I can use my phone for the notes. That's fine. And I'll get the banners because I've created some banners as well. Because, as you'll have seen from the title, I've been saying for some time that if I get to 1,000 decks, I'm going to have to start letting decks go, decluttering. The thought of it just is overwhelming, but not as overwhelming as it's becoming having 1,000 decks. Now, I'm not up to 1,000 tarot decks. I'm around 960. But I've got a separate bookcase here with oracle decks on. It's only a small bookcase, 3 shelves. But I went and counted them up, and I've got 71 oracle decks. So actually, with the 960 tarot decks and 71 oracle decks, I'm over 1,000 decks. And so, hello Ellie, nice to see you. Remind me to come back to that question in a moment, Holly, and I'll answer that. I'm like, if I want to pull a deck out, case in point, when Chris and I was doing Throwback Thursdays, he'd say, oh, shall we do, let's just say, I don't know, the Handle Tarot. And I would search through all these. Now, from what you see at the top, they look really organised, and at a glance, you'll be able to see them. But as you go down, there's a level there, and there's a further level to the bottom and at the back. And the ones where the tuck boxes, I can fit about 50 decks into a cubbyhole. I am searching high and low to try and find a deck. And then I've got a back room with just an equal amount, but stacked high of decks. I'll have to try and show you sometimes, but it's embarrassing the amount that's, they look really well sorted. Yeah, it's deceiving. It's deceiving. And these cubbies go back a fair way as well. And I find it quite overwhelming if I'm trying to find a particular deck. And it might be that I'm watching someone's video and they're doing a tag or something, and they say, oh, one of my all-time favorite decks is, I don't know, Mary L, for example. And I think, oh, yeah, I want to work with the Mary L. I might work with the Mary L this week. And then I spend 2 hours trying to find the Mary L. And so I've said to myself, you know, in 8 years, I've amassed 1,000 decks. I can't, in another 8 years, have 2,000 decks. It's just not possible. I live in a flat. I don't have the space. And so I'm going to have to start the process of decluttering. How? I don't know. And that's part of why I'm having this conversation with you guys, because I've got certain questions that I want to ask, but also ponder on and discuss to try and get to a position where, what processes do you go to? Because I've also got emotional attachments to some of the decks. And probably this is a good segue into, Holly, why I don't practice Buddhism anymore. Because one of the key principles of Buddhism is non-attachment. And I've always struggled with that. Not in the sense that in a materialistic way, but even on emotional ways. I form emotional connections very easily and very quickly. And it's something that I've, tried to work on. Even in my personal life, people always say to me, oh, well, what's your sexuality and things like that. And I've said many, many times, I don't go for labels. I don't like labels. And I want to live in a world where we don't have labels and people are just who they are. But when I heard the term demisexual, that for me was like a light bulb moment. That's what I am. And in fact, I think I grabbed a screenshot a few weeks ago. Let me go back through my phone. Gosh, it was. It was 24th of December. You're not going to see it, are you? It's too bright. Okay, so yeah, demisexual is a person who doesn't experience sexual attraction unless they form a strong emotional connection with someone. And the first time I heard that, and I thought, wow, there is an actual term for it, because I am not somebody who can have one night stands, never have been able to, or there has to be, I find the whole thing very intimate. Don't know why I'm talking about this. What has this got to do with the subject? Emotional attachments. And, to be intimate with someone, I have to have a very strong emotional connection. Sounds like me. Yeah, I think there's more people. We just didn't know there was a label or a term for it. But it makes perfect sense because, that's just how I am. And yeah, so just going back to the Buddhist question, I became a Buddhist after I left the Mormon church. As I said, I felt like I had a huge gaping hole, spiritual hole, and I looked into lots of different things. And I finally found Buddhism, and the whole sort of taking a humanistic, an active humanistic role by chanting and, as a form of sort of meditation or putting myself in rhythm with the universe. I believe fully in cause and effect. And there's elements of Buddhism that I still incorporate. But I don't class myself as a Buddhist. My spirituality is more nature-based. It's more in rhythm with the cycles of nature. It's very nature-based, and so I've moved kind of more away from Buddhism and, well, the Buddhist practice, I should say, and more into the pagan paths. But there are elements of Buddhism that are still very important to me. So I believe in the interconnection of all things. I believe it starts with, the mind and the self and the environment, and how we're all interconnected, and the cycles and rhythms of life. But anyway, I forgot what the question was. Are you selling the debts, or that you're letting go? I don't know. And that's one of the things I've been thinking about. I want to talk, because I could sell, I could trade, I could give away. It depends on the decks, but also there's the whole aspect of, do I keep something because I have a emotional or sentimental connection with it? because some are gifts as well. And I think for me, I then, if something is gifted, it's part of one of my love languages. I see that as a very special thing, and I don't think I could let them go. So there's lots of different things. So I think I want to start off with asking the question: how many decks do you currently own? And be honest, because there is two ways of looking at it. There's no shame and there's no boasting. I don't think just because somebody has 1,000 decks, such as myself, I'm any better at tarot than somebody that has one deck. It's not about the quantity. It's about how you approach tarot. It's about how you use tarot. It's about how you've studied and worked with tarot that's important, and how you share tarot with others, rather than I've got 100 decks or I've got 1,000 decks. So, yeah. So we've got, I think I have 25. I have over 300, 12, 13 on Monday. It is overwhelming. Take your time. Yeah, it is. More than 30, less than 50. I don't know how to reply to comments, but tips on bowls with sand and rice. Oh, I used to have to do that for an incense. 550 to 600. I'm proud of it, says George. George, did you see the question I asked at the beginning, whether you're the George that messages? One has to discern between constructs and objectivity. 150, says Marilyn. I'm sure I own over 200. Under 100, maybe 60. I stopped counting about 168. Yeah, so people tend to have around the 200 mark. On average, I'd say over 200, about 250. No, unfortunately, that's okay. That's all right. It's just spelled the same way as somebody that I chat to. Around 70, 45, 50. Lost count, over 600 now. And the only reason I know, and I say I know because I have Libib, but it's probably not accurate, because I looked for a deck on Libib and I didn't have it listed. And I thought, I'm sure I've got it. I'm sure I've got it, unless I gave it away. And I went and had a look and I did have it. So sometimes I forget to add them into Libib. So there is probably more. Or sometimes I'll let something go and I forget to take it out of Libib. So who knows? Giselle, hello. We are lurking, little bro. I think you'll turn your back room into a collector's. Yeah, I should do. You should see the state of it. Piles and piles of them. It's a wonder the shelves haven't buckled. I might have to double that. I'm in denial. I say raise your limit to 1,500. No, there's no room. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to order some boxes as well. And I'm just going to use this area as a display area of my top decks, the decks that I know I'm not going to box. And everything in the back room, I think it'll take good 20 boxes though. I'll write on them what's in each box. It's going to be a long project, but I've got time. Even if I do one box a week, and I stick on the front of the box a table with what's in each box, and then stack them in the spare bedroom. And then here, just have probably, there's 25 cupboards. If I have 10 decks, get a display stand, those stacks of 3 for each one. I think that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, let me look at my notes, what I wrote down. And then I guess the next question really would be, has anybody here decluttered your collection? So there's lots of people saying they've got around 200. Some people are saying 600, 500. Buy pretty boxes, Simon. Have has anybody begun the process of decluttering? Just put yes, no, or tried and failed, which I think is going to perhaps be my response. Some people put unused decks in purgatory boxes. Again, that's something I'm going to be touching on. Sandra is on the mead. You heard it here first. We was just on about that, whether Sandra was on the mead or not. Bless her. That is funny. I can't find it now. Oh, there it is. Sandra is on the mead. Well, it is 10 to 8. It's allowed. Did she have any for breakfast? That's what I want to know. Gosh, there's 150 people here. Hello, everybody that's come in. But it also means that the chat, because I'm asking questions as well, is going crazy. So if I do miss anybody, still regret getting... Yeah, and that's something else. All but I think 2 tarot decks that I've let go of in the past, I've ended up buying back. So, deck declutter, says Debbie, is on my list. There are some I never reach for. Yeah, and that's what I don't want to do, is put them into boxes and then forget that I've even got them, and they just sit in a box till somebody clears this place out long after I've gone. I need to write down what I've got. And then I think out of those boxes, I will put into, sell, trade, giveaway. I've already got 2 boxes, mainly Oracle decks, but there are some tarot decks in there for like when Sandra comes and I just say, look, there's a couple of boxes there. Take whatever you want. Simon, probably won't. I bought them for a reason, and when I pull out my Oracle, but I still love them. Yeah, I decluttered once. I'm about to do it again. It takes a while because I don't want to have regrets. That's the thing, isn't it? So the first thing that I'm thinking about is this emotional connection to them, sentimental values. What makes a deck a keeper? And I was thinking about this. I'm thinking, well, first and foremost, what makes it a keeper is my connection to it. Because yes, we can have pretty artwork, we can have amazing quality in terms of the production quality. We could say, oh, the art style is beautiful. But ultimately, for me, what makes a deck a keeper is because it resonates with me. And you can't always articulate it. I certainly can't articulate it. Sometimes you just pick up a deck. One that springs to mind is this deck. And this is a custom-made box that I had done for it. And this is the Japarizzi. Now, I edged this, I modified it, I chopped off all the borders. But for those of you who remember me doing a walkthrough of this, probably, 2017, 2018, I got quite emotional because I had that sort of instant connection. I was like, and the same with the deck I'll show you next. And it's not RWS at all. But there is just something about it that I thought, I can't ever let this go. But I don't now. And at one time I couldn't put it down. And I remember I was doing a deck I'm going to work with a month, and I tried to do that through the whole year, if you recall. And this came in, and every time I tried to work with another deck, I was like, oh my gosh, no, Japarizzi wants me to carry on working with it. I remember when you got that, Simon, you called it your soul deck. Did I? I mean, look at that. I mean, I suppose it is RWS in a way, but some really aren't, because this is 3 of Tides, which is 3 of Cups, and you can just substitute those 3 horses with the 3 maidens. But I mean, then you've got 4 of Cups, and that's more like a 6 of Swords or something. So, and the art style can be very different from card to card, but it's incredible. And then if I use the logic of, I've not used a deck for 2 years, I need to let it go, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work with decks like this, where I would pine for it if it went. So then why aren't I using it? And then I see some images and they feel very Thoth kind of in the design. So it's a bit of a deck that transcends the different traditions. I know not everybody likes this, and I do think this is a card that probably lets the deck down. It feels like the odd card out. But again, images like that are quite Thothy. Some cards are very abstract. I mean, these kind of remind me of Margaret Peterson type images. So some are very abstract, and then some are beautiful art pieces. I mean, beautiful art. So what makes a deck a keeper? Simon, you got me into RWS. Now I'm obsessed with all your RWS videos. I want more. I mean, RWS is my soul deck. My current soul deck of RWS, and I've showed it before, is, I mean, this is just, I keep the front and back card in just to protect the deck, but this is the one that I edged, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's a proper RWS deck, but the colours are really vibrant, and then you've got this gorgeous gold, and under nighttime lights, under candles, it's exquisite. The backs are the roses and lilies, and they're in the what I call the blood and custard. But the gold isn't overpowering. It's just right. But look at the colours. And it's Pix's artwork. It's not redrawn like it was with their Retina 08. But this is the Ancient Aurum. And this is my soul deck. The cardstock is phenomenal. It's lovely, thick, matte cardstock. And it's not one where, sometimes if you get things like the gold on there, it'll be the same on every card. This has been hand applied on each card. Just stunning. So that's my soul deck. Absolutely love it. Would you ever carve out your Pamela Coleman Smith variant decks? They're kind of their own sort of collection. I don't think I'd ever let go of any RWS. I would probably see that could be there is mainly, well, no, it's not mainly, it's all RWS, but I've got too many RWS decks to fit in there, so they are scattered here, there, and everywhere as well. Things like Neutral Vibes, which was done by Matt Green, and they're in the back room. Besides a connection or emotional connection to a deck, the collector decks are keepers for me. Yes, that's a good point. What makes a deck a keeper? So yeah, so someone said about their value as a collection piece. George says, got mine, love it. You got the Ancient Aurum. I think there's only 500 available. How does one decide what a soul deck is? I created a tag back in 2017 called My Soul Deck, and it was responded to really well. I did think, because people are doing redos now, aren't they? Tag redos. And I did think about maybe the Soul Deck one, because we're a different community now from 2017. It was a very small community compared to now. And I thought there's going to be loads of new channels. I'd love to know what their Soul Deck is. Their Soul Decks are, I should say. So I don't know, maybe something, or somebody might just decide to do it and then it has another lease of life. Does Simon have a backup for almost every deck? No, not at all. Some of my favourites I'll have backups for, but not every deck. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? No. So what makes a deck a keeper? Another one that I would never ever part with is this one, which is Deck of the Bastard. This box actually was made by Dustin from Modern Metaphysicae, gosh, years ago, maybe 6 years ago, and he handmade it, and it houses this deck beautifully. Is this my plastic version? No, this isn't the plastic version. I've got a plastic version as well. But Deck of the Bastard is a deck that I've loved for many years. I mean, and it's called Deck of the Bastard because it's a bastardization of Taya, RWS. What's the other one? It's gone out of my head. But it uses Taya in the main for like the major arcana, and then it uses RWS for the minors, except for the aces and the courts. I'll try and show you a court card. There you go. And that's a gorgeous deck, and that's a keeper because I've got such a beautiful, strong connection to it. And then another one that is a keeper that I will never let go is Shimmering Veil by Scylla Conway. This was sent to me during the first lockdown, which I gifted to Chris from Elemental Cartomancy, because I managed to get the second edition. And these are just, again, very similar reaction to Jeparidze when I got that deck. This, and I spoke to, as you know, I interviewed Scylla, and this, if there's ever was a deck that was channeled, it feels like this is just almost otherworldly. The images are just raw, primal, and they just hit me, right in the gut. Absolutely stunning oil paintings, and there's lots of image, which I really like. You just get a symbol and a number for each one, but it's hauntingly beautiful. I mean, look at that. That's like something out of Cloverfield or something. And then you go to this beautiful kind of oil painting that you'd see in the National Gallery or something. This is one of my favorite ever judgment cards. I mean, the ascending souls going towards the light. Absolutely incredible. And again, from the very first unboxing, opening this up, looking at these images, I was in love. I'm lucky enough to have a huge framed print of this in A1 size that Scylla sent to me as a thank you. But just beautiful. Anyway, anybody leaving any comments? I have the Samhain version of that one. That's Deck of the Bastard. Yeah, I never got the Samhain one. it was something about those kind of oval shapes. I would have found it too distracting, but I did consider it. Gods, I love the Skimmering Veil. You and me both, Tammy Pie. Your interview with Cilla Conway was great. Thank you, David. I think keep a deck that gives you the feels when you pick it up, transport. Yeah. So, and that's a classic example of what makes a deck for me a keeper deck. So for me, it's yes, the art style, because art style is important because that helps you connect with the deck. If there's an art style that's jarring, and I'm not going to say them because everybody knows the type of art style that I kind of switched off from. And the more, and this is something that comes with having a lot of decks in your collection, you do very quickly, he says, 8 years, but find what your style is. And I think in the early days, I was like a little kind of magpie. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's nice. You know, and I was collecting all these decks. And I used to say, oh, my, oh, it's completely burnt, by the way. It's hot. The stone gets very hot, but it's now just a ball of ash, look. Yeah, and I think the more you have, the more I know what I like and what I don't like. And I'm not so much now into modern computer-generated art or modern collage. I'm not into the Rebecca Campbell style of art. I like decks that are very traditional or a little bit different. So, and I love beautiful artwork. I'm not big on collage decks. Hello from Bermuda, welcome. So yeah, so you do kind of find what you like as well, and then it's easier not to bring lots of decks into your collection. So for me, it's around art style, it's around readability, and it's about personal connection. So I guess a question now at this point is, what decks are in your collection that would be a forever keeper? What decks are in your collection that's a forever keeper? Simon, do you still have a lot of those early day decks in your... Yes, I do. Tarot Ignited. I do. Particularly because I don't tend to let tarot go unless I just know I'm not going to work with it. So what's that English one? English Magic? Just couldn't get on with that at all. Let that go, and I was happy for it to go. I've still got the fountain because nobody wants it, but that's one I'd easily let go and never buy back. But there's lots of other decks that I have let go. Hush Tarot comes to mind. I think like the Green Witch, I brought that back. Dreams of Gaia, I brought that back. And so I just think, yeah, I'll just keep them because... But they're kind of classics. And I know something has to become a classic over time. So maybe these ones that are coming out now, and I think, But if I'm sent a deck and I don't like it, I have got permission from people to pass them on. So I'd rather somebody else have them. I did that one too, Simon, last year. I realised I prefer Marseille and Pip decks. What, the Soul decks, Holly? You did that one? My Mother's deck? That sounds interesting, My Mother's deck. Terra Volatile, yeah, I've got both versions of that. That's a good one. Golden Tarot by Cat Black. Old style tarot is beautiful. Noisy Museum Tarot, not heard of that. Yanasi Yaus, Lioness Oracle, Pamela Coleman Smith Centennial. I saw that going for £250 on eBay. Mad. That's one with the fleur-de-lis design on the back, isn't it? In gold on green. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's glossy. So I remember thinking at the time, oh, I wish this had been matte. But I've got the perfect RWS, the perfect matte RWS, and I can't imagine anything coming out that would top this anyway. The most often used decks are the ones that point out too expressive to replace our keepers, ones that can be rebought and go. Well, we say that, Robin, but you don't know how long things can be rebought for. Simon, do you own an Assy house? I don't. I've often thought about it, and then she keeps coming out with different variations of it, and I'm like, I don't know where I am. But one day I'll have one, I'm sure. My soul cords, 1 or 2 are my absolute keepers. I agree for non-tarot, although I've got a tarot version, as many of us have now. Yeah, definitely decks. And I formed a bond with them back in 2001 and 2002. So they're not going. Oh, there's Dustin. Hello. Just talking about you. That crazy decks on eBay are nuts these days. Yeah. But I always say to myself, well, they might be asking for it. It doesn't mean they're going to get it. 1JJ Swiss, Tarot Classic, Spanish Tarot, Vincent Petitia's Marseille deck. I love Vincent Petitia's 1JJ Swiss, actually. That's a beautiful deck. I also love Conrad Stain's 1JJ Swiss vintage version. Star Tarot, Albano Waite, great ones. Carol Hertzer. Yeah, I've got 2 Carol Hertzers in the thick cardstock ones. Hello. Oh my gosh, lovely to see you. Donna's here from Ozark Oracle. How the heck are you? Long time no see. Got a weekend off so you can be here. Too many on the list. Wow, I think I can let my Carol Hertzer decks go. Robin, let's talk. I think you have one version that I don't have that I've always wanted. I'll keep my Blushing Fool. Yeah, I can't let my Blushing Fool is in an ornate box on one of my altars. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. So the next one, I think we kind of touched on this anyway, but around sentiment versus practicality. So as I said, some decks will stay because of emotional ties rather than usefulness. I mean, for instance, no, I'm not. I'm not going to say it. But what I mean by that, I was going to give an example. I thought, no, it's not fair to mention other people and what they've done. But sometimes a deck will be bought for me, and it's not by anybody in the community. It tends to be kind of like family members or friends, and they'll buy me a deck because they know I'm into tarot. And I just think, I'm probably not going to use that. But I don't think I could let it go either because it's been a gift and somebody took the time to think about me and got me that gift. So then it has a sentimental value. And every so often I'll pull it off the shelf and I'll have a look. I'm talking like it's one singular thing. It's happened a few times, but and I think, well, that's really nice, that somebody did that. Yeah. So I've put here share this particular deck that you hold on to sentimental values, but you don't use very often. But actually thinking about it now, I'm in the moment. I don't want to do that. Donna says, I parted with about 20 decks recently. They were the ones I'd never bothered to read with, never used for more than looking at the images. Dustin says, my Dirty Pound was a gift from a viewer very early on when I started my channel, and I just treasure it because of its thoughtfulness and its gift. Yeah, I completely agree. My friends won't buy me tarot unless I specify one I want because the risk buying one I've already got. Yeah. But I can remember when I took voluntary redundancy from a job, the chance of this person seeing this video is very rare, gifted me a deck, and it had been their mothers who had passed away. And it was cool to have it because it was quite an old deck. But I know it kind of sits on the shelf for that reason, that it's an old deck and it was a gift and there's a sentimental attachment to it. I think it's all fair to let go of a gift. Yeah, I guess I don't know. Personally, if I gifted something to somebody and they didn't use it and they passed it on, I wouldn't have a problem at all. Yet, me, when somebody gifts me something, it's very different. I think, oh, I can't give that away. Yeah, I guess it's just, how we feel about things, isn't it? So, question: do you keep any decks purely for emotional or sentimental reasons? Maybe a gift that was early in your tarot journey. Simon, that RWS deck you don't like, but your mother gifted you at the seaside. Oh my gosh, Robin, is that the reason to keep it? I could never let that go, ever. My mum only ever bought me one tarot deck. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just a bog standard rider pack. And it was because I don't know why, because I've never done it, but I went away on holiday and I forgot to pack a tarot deck. And we went to this little seaside town called Mablethorpe. And I just said to my mum, I need to go to one of either the Crystal Shop or Fairy Glen. I said, because I forgot to pack a tarot deck. And she knew that it was important to me. And she bought it me. And that was a big moment, almost like the first time she brought me a crystal, which I keep in a little box on my shelf. Because, my mum was quite a religious person and I kind of knew how she felt about the tarot, particularly a few years ago. I think she mellowed to it later in life. But for her to buy me a tarot deck was like, oh my gosh, so yeah, that's a deck that I would never part with. Just like the crystal, it's protected in a beautiful box, because and I think even more so when your loved ones aren't with you anymore, the things that they have gifted you or passed on to you, there is that attachment there. Even though Buddhists will tell you not to have that. Okay, next thing, because it's already 8:15. Time is flying. This was what I was thinking around guilt, regret, and FOMO in particular. So there is guilt when I let certain things go, particularly if I've been sent for a deck that's been sent to me for review or something like that, and then I've let it go. I feel a little bit of guilt about it. And then also the FOMO has happened, particularly if you hear that a deck is going out of print. And it's ridiculous, isn't it? Because you think if I've let a deck go, it's for good reason. I don't think, going back to those earlier points of art style, readability, personal connection, if they're all lacking, that's why I've let the deck go. Why then would I have FOMO about letting it go because I'm hearing that it's going out of print? Jonathan Daly, hello, nice to see you. Jonathan says FOMO is a weakness of mine. I think it's a weakness of a lot of people. The only deck I ever had FOMO for is the Slow Holler Tarot. I know, and I let that go. I let that go in a 3-way trade. I mean, I did end up with a 1960s albano weight. Amazing. But then it went out of print, and now it's ridiculous money. And that's one of my biggest regrets. That, and obviously it's gone right out of my head. That, and obviously, and then it's that obvious it's gone out of my head. But what was the deck that I let go of? And then I've just done a video about it. La Courte. I couldn't think of the name of it. The next thing I was going to do was that long one that looks like bookmarks. But, you know, I really regretted letting that go. But then I was able to get it back. But Slow Holler's never going to come back. Well, never say never. You don't know. But at the time, I just really wanted a vintage albano because of my love for RWS. And I was like, oh, that'd be just amazing. Then there was an opportunity to do a triangular trade where I gifted my Slow Holler. That person gifted one of their decks. I think it might have been one of the was it the original Witch's Tarot or Dark Goddess, I think. And then, you know, I got the albano weight. If it's meant to be, decks you let go will come back to you. Possibly. I have FOMO. Sometimes I put a copy in the shop, and then if it's there, the FOMO doesn't pass off. Very useful. I spy a tiny Freddie Mercury on your shelf, Simon. It's not so tiny, actually. I'm looking over my wrong shoulder. It's not so tiny, actually. It's quite a big piece. I've had him for about a year or so now. Hi, Tarot Geek. Yeah, so guilt, regret, and letting go. So my question to you guys, if you want to join in on this one, is have you ever regretted selling or gifting a deck? Did it feel like a relief after all? So have you ever regretted gift? And if so, what deck? What deck did you let go of that you regretted the most? Did you get Freddie in that London? No, I bought Freddie in Lincoln, of all places, a little shop that did all sorts of, you know, there was Prince, there was Marilyn Monroe, all in these wooden movable arms and legs, and they sit on his shelves. But I saw Freddie and I was like, and he's wearing the Live Aid outfit. The year after Live Aid, they filled Wembley for the first time, and that's the concert I went to when I was 15. And that's the outfit he wore when I saw him. I don't regret any. That's amazing. Simon and other videos help alleviate FOMO. That's an interesting thought. I've only ever let go of one or two, and I've ended up buying back. See, that's me. That's what I do, Robin. I've never gotten rid of a deck. Early days yet. Delphi, but I use it a lot, so I'm fine. Oh, you used it a lot, so you felt ready to let it go. I regret giving away the Mystical Tarot and Bianca Nero. Freddie is fabulous. Okay, so the next bit, Robin touched on this earlier, is I'm thinking about that maybe pile. And I've heard that referred to in many different ways. Some people have called it purgatory, a purgatory box, a purgatory shelf. But I don't want something to sit in a limbo zone, if that makes sense. So I wanted to know, for those people who have a maybe pile, how useful is it? Because I can see its pluses and minuses. So for me, I'm kind of an all or nothing person. And so I think I'll either have, yes, that's staying, no, that's going. And then to have this sort of maybe in the middle, will it just be what I've already got now? A massive decks that are just accumulated? Because if I've got the option of maybe, I think the majority of my decks will go into maybe. Or the pluses that I see in it are that, you know, when I've said I've let decks go in the past and I've ended up buying them back, it would alleviate that, because if I think, actually, I put that in the maybe pile, but now I'm thinking I want it, it's easy. I can just take it out, put it back on the shelf. Ha, the maybe pile. I've been going to Declutter for ages, but not done it yet. My Toth Greenie was stolen in 98. There's a Tammy Pie's in the chat. There's a Toth Greenie mini on Mate Playing Cards, and I keep eyeing it up. And I think next month, you know, I buy a deck for the month that I'm working with. So currently, I'm working with my Taramania Lubok for this month, which I'm loving. It smells lovely, by the way. And the Pocket Oracle from Taramania, working with them together. I'm thinking I might work with a Thoth deck for a month, because ever since Tammy Pie showed it, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks beautiful. And I like the fact it's a pocket version as well. But I'm so sorry yours was stolen. That's awful. I put decks away for more than 10 years and then got them out and loved them again. Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? And I might create a Libib section of decks that have gone, because sometimes people say, have you got? And I say, yeah, I've got it. And then I can't find it. And then I think, did I trade that? Did I give that away? It's not very often I sell a deck. I have sold a couple of decks overseas to somebody that were out of print. But other than that, I don't tend to sell them. You can have maybe a time limit on your maybes. If you don't, you won't let it go. It's a good idea, Trisha. Robin says, put everything you don't use into a limbo box, a store that's hard to get to, that you can pull one out if you really miss it. Over time, you'll see which one stays, which don't. Yeah, I want that pocket greenie. Me too. Me too. You need a bigger flat. I'm going to need a blooming mansion at this rate. I'm going to have to move into Nottingham Castle or Wollerton Hall, and have a wing just for decks. The decks I'm not using are in my tickle trunk. That sounds interesting. The pocket greenie is so cute. I know, it really is. It really is cute. Yeah. So my question there is, do you have a maybe pile or box? And how long have decks been sitting in it for? Okay, next one is the rehoming of decks, and whether you have any rituals for that. So when I've rehomed a deck, I wouldn't say it's a ritual. You know, I don't sit there and perform a ceremony and say goodbye to it, but I will shuffle it for one last time, and I will look at the images again, you know, and kind of not bond with it because it's going, but appreciate it. Show some appreciation for it. And then people who have got decks for me have often commented on this about how they smell, because I do also cleanse them, not with any sort of chemicals, usually with incense of some sort, because if I don't always do it with new decks that I get in, perhaps should, but if I receive a deck that's secondhand, I will always cleanse it. They usually go into a bag with a crystal. I'm just trying to think if I've got one. to hand at the minute. I had one this morning. I thought, oh, that's a nice crystal. I forgot that was in there. But I think it's in my work bag. So yeah, and people say, oh, I got your deck and it smelt lovely. So I'll have a little bit of a, I guess it's a ritual. It's ritualistic anyway. But yeah, so sort of do that, kind of shuffle it, look at it, not say goodbye to it, as in goodbye, but you know, that sort of, oh, it's going on now, and cleanse it. I rarely get that. Nothing but good care. I just realised today that I'm not a hoarder. Friends have as much as I do, if not more. I'm just seeing if anybody else does anything. I rehome decks when people request it. I think it's a good idea. I never even look at them again. Never thought I would hear Simon say the word thoth at one time. I know. And I think it's since I went to the Warburg Institute last Saturday and saw Lady Frida Harris's original artwork. I was blown away. I thought, wow. Because, you know, I do have a Thoth deck out. This is the Millennial one. I mean, the cardstock isn't that brilliant on it, you know, and I can appreciate it. I just find it a little bit weird and abstract. But then there were some images, particularly of the majors, and I just thought, God, you could see the brushstrokes, the oil, and you just thought, wow, beautiful. So I did kind of develop, but I mean, that doesn't really do much for me. But the greeny ones do look more luscious. So I do have a Thoth out. Watch this, 30 new Thoth decks. No. And Thoth inspired decks. I mean, where's that one I was playing with earlier? Giselle showed this the other day, and I love it. This is another custom-made box. Gill Tarot. Or it's over there. I was looking at it last night. I've got the indie version of the Urban Tarot. And I love the artwork in this. But this is, you can see with the keywords, but look how beautiful the artwork is. This is Thoth based, but it's beautiful. I mean, look at that. Stunning. So Gill Tarot is Thoth. So I'm not that, it's not the system or tradition of Thoth. I always said it's just the original artwork. And then when I saw the original artwork, I was like, wow. Like I say, you could see the detailing of the brushstrokes. It was just, those ones, Fortune's Red was made by Bunny Kisses. And as I mentioned, is here now. Dustin made that one for me, which is beautiful, some years ago. And then obviously I showed this, which is Kelly Bear Pouch. I also, of course, have this with me at all times, which, if I could have two souls inside me, then obviously the greenwood is, it's just right up there. This is never off the desk, ever, since I got it. It's just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. So that's next to me here. Such a gorgeous deck, Simon. I know. So lucky. Yeah. So the last thing is about, obviously, if we're decluttering, it's okay letting decks go, but then there's always new decks coming out. So my kind of intention is to buy with intention. Going forward, I need to bring decks into my collection that really resonate. Going back to that very first prompt of artwork, connection with the deck, and usability, those three have got to be there. Now, as I said, I get sent decks. Cheryl is very lovely. We do the spotlight, she'll send decks. But I have got an understanding with Cheryl that if I don't like a deck, she said, don't do a review of it. We're showing it anyway on our live, so it's having the exposure, and feel free to pass it on. So that's great. So that will help keep the number down. And what I've been doing for this year is working with a deck for a month or 2 decks, because I keep using my soul deck for one, usually in the evening, but my and that's alternated with Greenwood as well. That's why that's out. And then the deck that I'm working with for that month that I've usually brought in. So last month was obviously Nature. I forgot the name of it now. Anyway, and this month it's the Lubbock. I've been using them in the morning, and I'm therefore using it every single day, getting that strong connection with it. But I'm mindfully just trying to bring in 1 deck a month. So it's about buying with intention going forward. And my deck buying habits have really changed over time, because I did have FOMO, where I would see a deck coming out and I'd be like, oh God, there's a new deck, everybody's talking about it. And at one time I'd buy it without even really diving deep into having a look at it and thinking about how will I use it, when will I use it. And decks were coming in and going on the shelf because I'd be working with other decks. And then sometimes it would be a good 3 or 4 months before I put it off the shelf and start working with it. So I've really gone from impulse buying to being more intentional with my purposes and thinking about that triangulation of the connection with the artwork, the readability of it, and that strong kind of connection, as I say. So I guess as well, even though I mentioned FOMO earlier, that I can't mention that impulse buying without that. And I think about decks like, and it's lovely, but everybody a few years ago was going on about Dark Mansion. Bit the same as like Wild Unknown. Everybody was going on about Wild Unknown. And you do get to that point. I think you either go one or two ways. Like, everybody's talking about that. I'm sticking my heels in. I'm not succumbing. Or you think, oh gosh, everybody's going on about Dark Mansion. If I don't get it, what if it goes indie and then it goes out of print? And then I ended up buying 2. I bought the luxury one in the box. I've gifted the other one, the smaller one, to a friend outside of the community. But one of my friends that I go on the adventures with every month. And that's because she bought one off Amazon, and it was a rip-off, terrible copy. I was so gutted for her that I gifted her that one. I've kept the luxury one. I have never used it. I've got £150 that I paid for it in a wooden box, larger cards, rose petal finish, brushed gold edges, in a luxury bag, a sitting gathering dust that I've never used. And that's FOMO. That was FOMO. Everybody was talking about it and I succumbed. Al Phillips says, I love Dark Mansion, but I can't read with it. Yeah, I think it's lovely. I think it's beautiful, but I can't read with it either. Being poorer really makes you think about each deck. Absolutely. That's another thing, particularly in the world that we're living in at the minute with, You know, I was watching, because of all these tariffs and everything, I was watching a program this morning, political debate program, and they said, we will be lucky if we just enter a recession. We could go into a depression, depending on how the world responds. And then, you know, again, we have to then be more selective, and not all of us have disposable incomes. I'm lucky because, you know, I don't have children, I don't have vices. I work hard and I earn my money, and tarot is my pleasure. But I also realise, and I'm very lucky because I don't have debt. You know, if I can't afford it, I won't get it. But I'm also mindful that there are people who have to really think about whether they can afford it, and then it really becomes an investment. So that's a collectible, just like the Alice Tarot large size collectibles. I'm boycotted Amazon. Good. You do that. More people need to. I've only used Dark Mansion a few times. I thought I'd love it because it reminded me of the Haunted Mansion. Yeah. So a question, I suppose, is, has decluttering changed the way you buy decks now? Are you more selective? Those of you who have decluttered, I know there are people that say, well, I haven't decluttered yet, but it could just be a general question as well. Over time, as a tarot collector, has the way you obtain decks, has that changed? I've even cut down on wine. Steady. Let's not go mad. I ran into a vintage copy of 777 yesterday. I was so tempted. Is that a Deviant Moon deck? When I first joined the community, I was broke poor, so I wasn't able to buy all the decks. It really helped with FOMO, to the point where now, even though I'm able to FOMO, won't drive me to buy a deck. Good. That's good grounding, isn't it? We get so many decks at the shop, I no longer buy them just to have them. That's good as well, yeah. You know, and I can walk into a shop now. So I went into, as I was saying at the beginning, when I showed the stuff that I bought this morning, well, this afternoon, I walked into the Mystic Moon, and I didn't buy a deck. And I looked at all the decks, and there were quite a few I ain't got, and I just thought, no, won't use it. No, that don't appeal to me. Whereas at one time, if I went into a shop, I'd think, I need to buy at least one deck. No, I don't. So I didn't. No, Simon, it's Crowley. What's Crowley? Oh, 777. Right. I don't know what it is then. I know Patrick used to use like 3 as a kind of alternative name of a deck. I'm definitely more selective now for the sake of space. I don't want to have decluttered down the road. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Justin says, I'm the same way now. I get so many for the boutique, and every now and again I'll keep one. Yeah. Okay. So that's everything. I just want to leave with one question, which is, if you had to declutter one deck tonight to make that start, it always starts with one deck when we declutter, that first one, which would it be and why? If several months go by and I don't buy a deck, I get an itch, but those decks don't usually stay with me. Interesting. So you're buying because you've got the itch because you haven't bought for a while, but then you bring it into your collection, Robin, and it doesn't stay. That's interesting. That's quite telling, isn't it? I think that says a lot. Wild Unknown. Never use it. None. George, come on. Rebel Witches. I'd probably Emerald Papyrus. Okay, I'm not sure of that one. I'll have to look that up. Way to put me on the spot, Simon. Everyday Witch, The Cheese Factor, Vampirella Tarot. I plead the fifth. Alchemical Tarot. I like the blue sky edition of the Alchemical Tarot. I've gifted a copy of an old copy as well of Alchemical to a friend in Wales. Tattoo Tarot, Scarabandalia, Dark Mansion, Animal Oracle with a crown on their heads. I know which one you mean. Wild Unknown, Too Many Snakes, Alice in Wonderland. I don't know which one it's actually the problem. So mine would be the Fountain Tarot. I think I've used it once for a walkthrough when I got it, and it was an indie version as well. And I've seen a mass market, and I can't see any difference. So the mass market version is great when it's just as good as the indie. But Modern Love Tarot, I even keep it as a gift, but the artist, yes. And isn't that a shame? Because I really wanted Modern Love, and I got it, and I thought this is beautiful. And then it's got all that ickiness around it because of that Morning Star person who came out with some vile stuff. I'll never. Yeah, Holy Spectrum was a gift from Elle. So that's a deck that's very special to me, but I love it. I really love it. So that's one I'd never let go of as well. Come to my place and take your pick. There aren't many, and I'll wrestle you to keep. Llewellyn's Tarot Made Easy. Gosh, yeah. I bought that by mistake thinking it was the Llewellyn Tarot. Hush Tarot. See, I let that go once. I Can't Part with the Fountain Tarot as a gift from Elle years ago. I think I remember that. Why don't you open a stall at a car boot sale? Because tarot's too niche. See, if I opened a car boot sale in Glastonbury, I'd probably sell my tarot decks. But if I did it in Nottingham, I don't think I'd sell any. Yeah, but anyway, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I found it really helpful, and that's why I wrote down what I wrote down this afternoon, because I'm like, where do I begin? I can't. This collection can't keep growing and growing. I've got to do something, but I don't know what to do. Do I have the purgatory box? How do I let them go? What makes me decide to keep them? Should I have a criteria? And if you're watching this back, do comment down below on your sort of decluttering tips or experiences that you've had. So yeah. Anyway, it's 8:45. This has been a long live, hasn't it? Let's pull a tarot tile. Let me take that off the screen. Go back to comments. Okay, I think I'm back to the bottom. Purgatory pile is what I had. That sounds like it was something quite painful and nasty. I had purgatory pile. What was I going to say as well? I can't even remember now. Something about yeah, and I've often thought that was it. I've often thought about the Hermit's Cave Facebook group about doing kind of swaps, but there's groups for that, and I couldn't do it to my admin team as well if it got really messy about stuff, and I agreed to trade this and it never happened. I can't really go into that, but yeah. Anyway, Oh, we have the Two of Wands. Two of Wands, people. Let's think then. So I was so distracted then talking about that. I've just pulled this card, but we'll go with it. Let's just say, I think this week ahead, it's your time, our time to make our mark on the world. I often find that there's a cautionary tale as well, because I think it's really important that you need to take the bull by the horns. You need to be confident. You feel like you've got the world, literally, the world in your hand if you see it there, and show you mean business. Whatever it is, whether it's a goal you've been going for or something that you want, you might be wanting to go in a new direction and a new career choice and moving, whatever it is. If it's something you want, the time is to, go out and get it, assert yourself. Without the cautionary side of it is not to come across, how can we put it, a sense of arrogance. You don't want to come across as arrogant, but it's really important that you strike this week. The time is now. Feel that the world's in your hands and go for it. Show that you mean business, whatever it is that you're facing this week. Okay, I'll leave that out because I keep putting that back in the bag, and then I'll go and do my tea and I'll sit down and think, I've not put the card up in the Facebook group. So, ship full of tarot decks on the horizon. Yeah, come take them. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's been lovely to hang out with you all. And I will see you next week. I'm not sure. I think it's the week after we're doing spotlights. I think I've got another regular couple of catch-up and cards next Saturday. I'll have broken up from work as well. I'm breaking up Friday. First holiday since New York at Christmas. But yeah, thanks for being here, everyone. And until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.